Welcome one and all to the Amazon EU Masters. We have swapped. You're now the English colour, and I'm now the Irish play-by-play. We swapped the positions there as we come back off of this. Thank you so much, of course, to Munchables. I was going to say Daggables again, and I was just like, it always kind of gets me. But Dagda and Munchables for taking on the first half of the games. We're going to be taking on the second half. But before we do, we got to talk about that last game because it was a little bit of a slow burner. But once the gears started going for BDS, it looked like it was a pretty comfortable win.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like coming to this one, my expectations for BDS would be favoured. And I mean, Crown Shot was just an absolute monster on that Aphelios. The fact that they had the backup of the Lulu, you know, I was talking about it to you, as we were sitting downstairs, and it was kind of like picking the Tom Kench, allow them to have the Lulu freely, really means if you don't get on early, you're going to have that extra scale and that extra benefit. And in their fairness, I feel like SK Gaming did a lot of good in the early game, particularly their jungler just setting up these ganks and trying to snowball his lanes.
I mean, that's the big thing. When you pick the Jarvan, if you're not ganking, you're doing it wrong. But it did feel like it was a little bit haphazard. You can see there, it took a long time for him to be able to get it. It didn't really lead to much in terms of objectives. And that's how we generally tend to wait in terms of picks and kills in the early game, is like, can you get that kill and then turn it into something bigger?
Yeah, I think even though, we saw the Gwen early today be absolutely monstrous in a game where she was kind of untouchable, Aphelios with a Lulu backing you up, you're always going to have the DPS for the Gwen. And I feel like the fact that they got those early dragons, BDS weren't even concerned if they're losing those early kills because they felt so confident in those team fights. And there's examples here where SK were trying to, get things rolling by looking towards that Baron area, but they were contested on it each and every time.
Yeah, this starts off as a 4v5 in favor of the Polish representative, and then they just, the Ultra League representative, and they just weren't able to let it stick. And I think Dagda mentioned it a couple of times in the cast. There was just too many times where the Tam Kench was trying to be the engagement instead of the safety.
Yeah, that was a bit rough, I'm going to be honest. And I think as well as the fact that, so many melee champions, so many champions on the side that can be able to check that. And I think the way they sort of played around it was really good, right? There were definitely windows where I thought, maybe the Grid would find an angle, but they didn't really were able to pick up. And I think this moment is a great example where Crown Shot's just too strong. You're trapped in the Baron pit. You're not able to approach him. And anyone who steps up is just absolutely decimated.
Yeah, there's nothing else you can do at that point there. You're just getting constantly berated. And that, again, similar to that second clip, it's where the Graves wasn't even there. It was 5v4, but you kind of had to flip. We were talking about it at that point in the game. You can see the little spike in gold is roughly where they ended up having to take that Baron. They had to go for something, because if they didn't, they were just going to lose anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally going to be a situation where BDS would get Elder Soul if you fought them on it. I think the critical thing that I was looking at in that last fight was the fact that Crown Shot had flash. So a lot of these fights are like, okay, Jarvan jump on the Aphelios, we'll try and burst through him while he's trapped in there. In that final fight, it's like Baron's up. Elder Soul is, Dragon Soul is up, it's an Infernal Soul as well.
Yep. And
going into that knowing Aphelios' flash, you saw in the last one how Crown Shot just flashed out the Cataclysm. It was like, okay, that's it, done. Team fight, we had one goal, which is kill Crown Shot, and we're not able to do it without being able to lock him in that cage.
Yeah, well, and that's already only the start of the first day of the main group, so we already have the LFL 2-0 up over the Ultra Liga. It's kind of a little bit sus as we can come back into it, but now we got ourselves another LFL team. I told you I would do it. I warned you. You had prior warning coming into this. We have got another LFL team coming into this. LDLC, the champions of the LFL, coming up against the champions of the PG Nats, Atleta Esport. This one, I think, is definitely a David Goliath thing, but what I want to see from LDLC is I want to see convincing wins. I don't want this to be scrappy, because it has to be. If you're the number one team from what is arguably the number one region, you got to be putting out a performance.
100%, and I feel like LDLC have a pretty stacked lineup. There's a lot of players to talk about on the roster, and the fact they topped the LFL. A lot of times before, LDLC have topped the LFL, but only have one EUM title where they've come in, have been able to win it out. A lot of times where they've come in as favorites, not end up delivering, so expectations are sky high. And the other side, in the PG Nats, we actually saw a bit of an underdog story. Because
big upset.
Yeah, Atleta, people didn't think they would come in as a favorite to the finals. People thought it was going to be, perhaps even a one-sided affair into the other direction for MxDragon Esports, but then they just came out with an absolute blinder. And I was even speaking to, one of my friends who's on MxDragon and saying they just drastically ramped up going into playoffs. Huge improvement, which is great to see. So if they can do that again, it's a big improvement needed.
You got to go from upset to upset. You know, it's a bit of a jump.
But it's best of one, right? And I feel like anything can happen in a best of one. That's the big thing. I feel like that last game, even we saw the early gank and the early proactivity. these things can catch you off guard in the best of one. And obviously BDS managed to slow things down and regain control. But if you let Slip make too many mistakes, it can easily go in the other direction.
Yeah, it really can. And again, looking at LDLC, again, the LFL have started fantastically so far in this group stage. Is 2-0 on the day.
Which means more pressure.
Which means a little bit more pressure. And we have seen, like you mentioned for LDLC, you know, they have won EU Masters, of course, but they were always kind of memed as always the bridesmaid, never the bride. They were always coming in and being that #1 team from LFL and then kind of faltering. So I think for them and the fans of the LDLC team are going to want to see a pretty convincing performance if they want to make sure that those demons have been quelled.
100%. And I think especially when you have storied players on the roster, right? We have Eika in the mid lane, who's obviously been on the roster for a long time, went over to NA briefly and has come back. We have Exakick, who was part of that roster where they ended up winning EU Masters, still there as a long-standing AD carry for the team. So, you know, expectations sky high, and I think everything starts off with the draft. I know that
everything starts with success.
Yeah, I guess.
Sorry, we're in Europe now. We got to go by the monologues.
Sure. So I think here, you know, we've seen various different drafts coming out. Obviously, it's new patch 12.6. A lot of changes came in. Things like Hecarim completely knocked out of the equation. We see Atleta already looking to put some pressure down towards the jungle and towards the bot lane. I do feel like for them, their AD carry is a big instrumental piece in their success. So hopefully giving him a good pick where he can be a carry-on.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see now where they want to try and take the last few bans, of course. Fun fact, you mentioned about Eika and coming into this mid lane and went off to the LCS. Little fun fact, he was on LDLC, he left LDLC, LDLC won EU Masters, and then he came back. So it was kind of an interesting little...
I think that's hilarious. You're the longest standing player on the roster, right?
And you're the one who hasn't.
You're the one, well, you know.
Look, maybe this is his time, but we have got the bans coming in. Interesting enough, we see the Trundle coming back against... This feels like a targeted ban.
Well, this also suggests to me, right? We often see Trundle matching like the Volibear because it's something that one of the few things can actually duel him in the early game and has that similar early pressure. To me, if the Trundle's banned, you just take the Volibear, right?
Yeah, very
so
few
I feel like LDLC might be setting this up. They might have something planned, but I think Atleta, you know, you'll have to take that.
I mean, yeah, look, this is a very high priority jungler, and we have seen it do exceptionally well throughout every single region in the world. So we are on 12.6, so it's slightly different in terms of how things can interact, but we do have the Jarvan coming in and the Xayah. Xayah has been creeping up in priority.
And I love this Jarvan because I specifically remember when I was casting the Nordic Championship before it became the NLC, ages ago, Yike was there, right? And I remember his team struggled. We had this fantastic Jarvan game where he really won B9, and he's grown so massively as a player to now be, you know, champion of the LFL region, but still very proficient on that Jarvan pick. But Atleta, you know, they're looking towards the Ahri, definitely a pick that we've seen constantly contested and good into the Jarvan that you can get out of the cage. I feel like they're probably also going to take an AD carry in this situation. Jinx is still up and available, but obviously the Jarvan, a great answer to that.
Yeah, and I love the Ahri Volibear, that 2v2 mid-jungle combination, so lethal in the pre-6 stages of the game. So I would love to see now this team take a very aggressive approach to those first few levels, especially in mid lane.
Yeah, this is a bit of a pocket pick for Endz. The Draven saw a couple of bans thrown towards it in the playoffs of the PT Nat, so willing to bring this out. And in my mind, right, you have Volibear, who's great at leaning to the sides and diving, and Ahri, you can follow up with that with the ultimate as well, and you have a Draven. This is going to be such a bot-centric game.
Oh, absolutely, and this is going to be something that the Draven is just one of those picks that if it does get that one kill early, the game just becomes so much harder, especially when you're against something or into something like a Xayah. Xayah does have fantastic spikes, but if you're already an item down, there's not really a lot you can do.
100%. And the thing is, like with the Xayah, you know, you can just use your speed from the Blood Rush to just walk around the feathers, get up in her face, and you'll just win trades 1-to-1, auto to auto now. And they'll see banning away the Gwen. Obviously, they're in a position where they can have fierce priority and supports. Rakan, in my mind, would be something they could definitely lean towards, as they do have that Xayah already. But there's still things like the Nautilus open, there's still things like Leona. Both sides, however, looking to prioritize towards the top lane. And I like the Gangplank ban, actually, if you are not only going to be focused on bot lane, Gangplank can obviously impact that from the other side of the map. And on top of that, if you trap someone with the Cataclysm, it's guaranteed just consistent damage.
Just Venn diagrams of death at that point, really, especially with the distortion coming on. The distortion coming in from the LeBlanc. But we'll see now what they're able to try to make a focus on now as the Leona gets taken away. Some very, very aggressive bot laner you want to try and take off of the hands or out of the way of the bot lane that is the Draven. So still plenty of options here for Atleta, but we'll see where they want to try and round out their composition.
Yeah, there's still Nautilus open, there's still Rakan open. I feel like LDLC could be happy with Rakan, but that's the thing, if Atleta ban the Rakan, I can see LDLC just take the Nautilus and be comfortable there. There's still options, and the thing is, you could even go in a different direction because with a Jarvan, you have that reliable engage on your team. Jay's going to end up being the ban from Atleta, and we actually see the Ornn come out. So even more heavily establishing that we are not too interested about playing for the top side. We know the focus point is going to be bot. Ragner has a pick where he should be pretty comfortable on it. We'll see if Gabbo opts to pick something that can actually look to punish it. We do see them looking at Sett, and this is technically a flex and go out of the lane.
Yeah, well, I will say it's a flex right until the last pick, which they have to go for as well.
They will be revealed.
Yeah, I was going to say, it will be revealed, but they are going to maybe give themselves a little bit of extra time to figure out what they want to go for. And now, Sett has been locked in. It is a bit of a pocket support for a lot of different people in a lot of different regions, so curious to see where they want to try and put that.
Yeah, so I guess we'll see on this final pick. I feel like you can pick basically anything into the Ornn where you're just going to want to scale up. I don't think there's anything that you're really going to be able to challenge him too heavily because you have that Draven. You want to be the focal point on bot side. If you end up investing too many resources in the Gabbo, it's going to end up hurting. So in the end, it is going to be that Sett in the top lane, providing another engaged threat for the team. And then they are going to go for the Nautilus bot. And we actually get coming out the Renata. So, you know, there's two aspects of this. One, you actually don't hold up that well in the 2v2 because your cooldowns are exceptionally long. It's one of the weaknesses of Renata. So, you know, if she uses an E, which is both a shield and a trade tool, you can then engage in her and she has very little else to offer, especially if she doesn't get anyone low, the W isn't that valuable. But it does mean the plus side is, right, when you're trying to dive in with this composition of Atleta, she has great anti-dive for the Xayah. In particular, if you end up trying to tower dive and there's the feathers, there's also the fact that, you know, you can use the W to kind of rebirth them after they get a kill with the tower's help. It does make it a tricky dive and does mean that Exakick and DOS should be able to hold their own when it comes later in the game, but I'm still concerned about that early 2v2.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all eyes are going to be down towards that bot side and what they can do, but for LDLC, if you can weather that storm, if you can get past those, you know, early few minutes of the game relatively unscathed, you have some fantastic damage of your own and great teamfight initiation.
Yeah, and I mean, the scaling's just going to be exceptional, right? The Renata, the Ornn, those picks really are ones that flourish later in the game. And the thing is with the LeBlanc as well, as much as she can provide that good setup, she can be such a pain point to deal with for the enemy composition. So for me, I'm looking at Atleta. I feel like they've given themselves tools. They have the agency. They need to run away with it, right? We just saw that previous game. It was also one where the aim of the game was get things rolling early. I want to see that again. You need those early ganks. You need to challenge LDLC because if you sit back, not going to be a fun time.
And I mean, that's how you kind of have to take this. This is a best of one. You have to try and just control the momentum. If you play the game the way LDLC want to play, I'm sorry, but they're probably going to be the better team at it. It's just kind of how it is. It's similar to, you know, back in Korea in 2016, 2017. Everyone tried to play the Korean style, and funny enough, LCK was better at it than everybody else.
And we had the Ignore special.
And we had the Ignore special, exactly.
Favorite battle on the Leona and the Ardent meta. It's stuff like that. I feel like really catch teams off guard. And I think that is here, right? If you go for early gang spot, burn those summoners, it allows picks like the Renata to potentially be vulnerable. And on top of that, I already highlighted how laning phase isn't the strongest point for the Renata. It is somewhere which you can get bullied out. Particularly, I'm going to be looking at MxDragon and where he's going to path. I think both junglers, I mean, Jarvan is someone who we even saw in the previous game. You can pull up very early ganks with it. You can go for sort of cheese ganks where you'll get level 2. Volibear, not quite as proficient at doing so, but I want to see that early presence and see if you can find opportunities to punish.
I will have to wait and see. The LFL already 2-0 so far in the Amazon EU Masters main stage 2022 spring. Sadly for the PG Nats, they've already lost one team in the play-ins, but they're going to be hoping for a little bit of a better time. And that's such blasphemy. That was a dance-off. They were emoting at each other and he auto-attacked.
That's super VM, honestly.
I'm
really,
not allowed. Not
really
allowed.
Not okay. But yeah, I mean,
take it off.
I feel like we're having
red card.
We're gonna be having a lot of fun in the top lane, just going toe-to-toe. We do see Atleta actually clearing out this ward here, so trying to deny a little bit of the defensive vision that was set down by Yike, but nothing too crazy coming from this now. I expect MxDragon going to start on the top side, want to path towards the bot lane, and it looks like a similar thing is going to happen for the side of LDLC. And I feel like that's going to be a point of contention in this game, as we've said, as we've highlighted.
We'll see how it ends up all going. Good early vision here for LDLC, putting themselves just a little bit more safer in that bot side, recognizing it's not going to be a red side start. They should have a pretty decent idea of where this Volibear is going to go. And again, like you said, it is pretty much guaranteed for him to path towards this bot side. And we really get to talk about it, but they're kind of set into the Ornn as well. It's a matchup we don't tend to see that often.
We don't really see Sett top.
Yeah, I was going to say, we don't see Sett top a lot. I'm curious about your thoughts of how you expect this top, like, you know, top side of the map to go.
Well, see a bit of a heavy trade here.
He might have to lose his flash here. One more auto attack from the Draven would have been enough, but as we say, with a lot of damage, but yes.
Ignite down, which is something, but top lane, I mean, the Sett does a pretty good job trading into the Ornn because, you know, Ornn is quite bursty, but you have your W to play around with, you have the percentage HP on your Q. And the fact is, you just sustain through a lot of the damage provided by the Ornn thanks to your passive. So it's going to be comfortable for Gabbo. I don't really expect him to be like solo killing Ragner or anything. And at the end of the day, the Ornn is going to scale exceptionally.
I'm going to have a slow early game. Just something I've noticed, we're going to have a little bit of chance now to talk, because I don't think there's actually going to be much happening in the next 30 or 40 seconds, touch wood. I'm going to cast a curse it now in a second. But we generally have seen, throughout the first 3 games of the EU Masters, very, very slow starts, very methodical, very much playing not to lose rather than throwing it all to win.
I'd say to an extent. I feel like last game, though, we saw a lot more aggression coming out, right? The Jarvan pick in particular was something where we saw Eska trying to get things rolling early. I feel like it's been a bit varied, especially you saw in play-ins. There's a lot of action going on, but players, you know, we're on a new patch, right? It's a best of one. The tendency is players are going to be more reserved. When you go in a series, people looking at the game one, they're like, we want to test the waters, see what's going to work, what's not going to work. There's not much wiggle room. Like, upsets happen all the time in best of one, but when you're, you know, the first seed for the LFL, you really don't want that to happen. We do see all 3 lanes are prio, right? As of now, kind of the expectation for bot and top, mid being gone pretty comfortably. I do feel like the Ahri into LeBlanc matchup, there's a lot of skill expression.
Go for the dive here? I mean, I like the cojones, but I don't think it's the smartest idea.
Yeah, I respect that he's looking for the opportunities, trying to find the pressure, but kind of would need some backup from his jungler to go for that. Bot side, we saw MxDragon ends up showing up so he can pick up the scuttle. This means his bot lane's safe, no real prospect of gank. And that's the thing with the Jarvan, is you're very good at ganking. With your flag and drag, close the distance, have a lot of bursts with the first strike, land that CC. But in a 1v1 against a Volibear, you get absolutely annihilated, right? You don't have the damage to 100-0 him, and he will just constantly get the W cooldowns off. So Yike quite comfortable just avoiding the enemy jungler as of right now.
Just happy to keep farming up, keep seeing if there's anyone, you know, going a little bit too far forward, going a little bit too far away from their protection of their turret, or maybe even their other players, as we wait to see now where both these teams want to try and focus. And we've had not a huge amount happening in this early time, as actually just realized our clock on the top of the screen has broken, so I'm going to stop it. Yeah, I was going to say the 1 minute 42 is not really working. There it is. Thank you so much, production. 4 minutes and 30 seconds. I was wondering, I was like, this felt a lot longer, but maybe I'm just a little bit, you know.
Level 5 at 1 minute 42.
Yeah, if you could do that, it'd be pretty.
Yeah,
broken.
like first mini wave hasn't even crashed. And yeah, crazy.
It'd be absolutely nutty. It'd be kind of an interesting. I know they tried to do it with Zilean, obviously with the passive of like build. If you're close to a level, he'll like get you to that next little bit. I don't know. I feel like there's something there you could do with champion design, like with like messing with levels or something.
I mean, there's so much things you can do for champion design, but it's time and time proven that it just ends up being broken. Yeah. The more complex mechanics you have. Although I say Renata is one of the. I feel like as a champion, there's definitely a place for her. There's definitely times she feels really strong, but she's never really felt overbearing, other than when she was released. But they quickly toned that down.
They had to take away the bailout health regen pretty significantly when you revived off. I think you got like 40% of your health.
35.
35. Yeah. There you go. So they had to bring it back.
Sort of cool down. So anyway, we've sort of seen things not develop too heavily. Neither jungler's been able to find enough for gank. In all honesty, I think LDLC are pretty happy with this, but the concern is bot lane, right? It doesn't matter how many ganks you get bot, it just matters if Draven gets a kill and gets the cash in.
Oh, here we go.
We actually have both junglers here.
Yeah, they're going to go for it. There's the hook going to land. They're going to get flag and drag out, but there's the Sky Flare coming in. Both supports going to try and flash away. First blood goes over to the Renata. Has a flash away there from Exakick. He's trying to keep himself up and alive, and he will do so. It's been all summoners burnt. You will have a flag and drag here for Yike as he gets himself up and out. No real harm done here for LDLC. They read the play. They knew where it was going. Yeah,
such a risky one to go for, right? Because if you trade 1 for 1 and the Draven gets killed, you lose massively. But in the end, they managed to get Cospect down and get away from the situation. DOS also having the W running on himself with the Ignite down meant even if you did kill him, he would revive. So we don't see Atleta overstep too far. But the critical thing is they managed to dissuade some of the pressure in the bot lane, and they're able to transition that straight into that dragon. First one will be a Cloud.
Will be a Cloud Dragon going over to LDLC. So we wait to see now where they want to try and transition their priority after the fact. And this is the big thing that we talked about in the pregame as well. It's not about just getting a kill. It's getting a kill and turning it into something more. That's the something more that we expect to see from our top teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder if we'll see too much Herald priority coming out from LDLC here, because obviously you can swap DOS up towards the top side and he can assist with that, but I feel like on the top side of the map, the fact that you have the Sett, the fact that you have the Ahri as well with the Nautilus, I feel like it'd be a little bit scary. We are just a minute away from that Herald spawning in. And we do see MxDragon just moving up towards the top side of the map where he's going to be clearing through. His blue buff has just respawned.
We go back to kind of a calm before the storm. As we do get the display back. Nice. It hovered on 719 for a little longer than a second there, and I was like, uh-oh. But it's fine. It's totally all good. But we have got the overweight back. We've got our two teams back on form. And LDLC, like we said, they're very happy to take this game slow and steady. I feel like for the side of the PG Nats champions, they need to start figuring out where they want to try and put priority. The Volibear is great in this early skirmishes, but if you're not making anything happen, he doesn't really get that same power. Yeah, he was trying to look for something in the top lane.
Gabbo's built up quite a big wave. He was trying to find an opportunity, but there's a ward there. They can spot this play coming. Nothing really going to come to fruition. They might look up towards the Herald on the back of this. My only concern is that if LDLC managed to find a cross map on the other side and punish the bot lane, it could be threatening. But at the moment, Yike is in his top side jungle, so nothing too concerning. I don't think going to come out of that. He might look to challenge, though.
He might look to challenge further. That's going to be the knockup coming in.
They have Prio mid.
Yeah, they could go for this, but it's a bit risky here. And the Rift Herald this early on does do significant damage to your health bar, so you got to be very aware of that. A bit of honey fruit there to bring back up the health bar and mana of XoNix. And here we go. The Ornn comes out. He's going to be popped out with the showstopper, but the Rift Herald has still been procced over to the side of LDLC. They'll steal it away. They get Charm out. They kill the setup at the top side. LDLC are taking away absolutely everything right now. Cataclysm into the knockup, but now you're all alone. And while that was happening in top side, it ends up being a 1-for-1 in the bot lane because it ends up being Draven picking up a kill on the Xayah. We'll see a replay of that later. The fight's not done just yet. As the hook is here, the charm is good. They're looking for the real one. They don't quite guess correctly. And now Eika should be able to run away safely to his Ornn. Should not be able to be killed off right at this point. As I say that, though, they are still going to try and keep pushing forward, but it's going to be very difficult to catch them.
Yeah, I mean, they might be able to try and apply some pressure to this tower here. We're going to have to see Eika back away, and Ragner, you're not going to be able to defend that dive 1v3. Cospect will force them off.
He's got Ignite. He wants to just get in. He just wanted to get in range of the Ignite. That's all he wanted to do. And there is the whirling death coming from the bot side. A very long, overextended play, but ends up being a 2-for-1 in kills in favor of the PG Nats champs. But it is still the Rift Herald going over to LDLC.
Yeah, and I gotta say, Atleta, you know, I feel like they mismanaged things a little bit. Realistically, Gabbo going for the ult to deny the Ornn ends up being too late. It just ends up isolating himself from the rest of the team. Also, Cospect being late to roam up, right? You start up the Herald. I feel like you should be moving your support a bit earlier. By the time he showed up, the fight had already gone down, and Yike had secured that Herald. But critically, what happened in the bot lane? We saw Endz just find a solo kill against Exakick, right? This is a EUM champion getting solo killed by Endz here on this Draven, and you know, you've got a big cash in off the back of that. You're definitely happy with it.
Yeah, absolutely. You can already kind of see it in the items there a little bit. A High Noon Quiver on top of the Vampiric Scepter and the Serrated Dirk. So you've already got yourself a little bit. Thank you so much, observers. Yeah, he's already with 600 gold ahead, and that's with a slight CS deficit as well.
Yeah, and we are going to see MxDragon going for a play here. So this is a bit risky because if you backfire in this play, the Herald is in the hands of LDLC. So if they find favor here, they'll just easily be able to translate into taking plates, whether it's mid or top. At the moment, Yike is towards the mid lane. LDLC's bot lane, remember, they have ults. This is a lot harder to pull off than it was before.
Yes, it was. An Exakick will have his flashback very, very soon. They are just pushing in this wave. Here we go, though. They may have the Volibear in the perfect position. They have no ID on the side of LDLC. They are just playing with fire, but they're not pulling the trigger just yet. I think they're just trying to make the ultimate bait. Here we go. They're going to go for it straight away. The hook will not land, and there's going to be the ultimate out from the Renata. They try to get the flash out of Exakick, and now everything has been used, but a great call back of the feathers means that everything still stays the same in terms of this fight. The Zhonya's from the Renata is good as well. Another Zhonya's from Yike, and this is turning back in favor of LDLC. They're getting everybody back into favor. Another turret shot, but no! Draven with the last auto attack will pick up some more stacks. It's very messy, it's very scrappy, but it still comes out in favor of the Italian champions.
Yeah, I mean, Atleta get the play they won, but we saw LDLC slam the Herald mid. They get 4 plates, and they managed to get down in time to at least trade back with the Ahri kill. In terms of kills, it's still favored to Atleta. I feel like they're happy with that one, but those plates mid are going to hit. Look how low the tower is already. Yike are going to be monstrously fed off the back of this.
Oh, he's going to tank a lot of damage here. If there was a Spirit Rush there for the side of the Ahri, that would have been a hell of a different situation, but it does get away with his life, just back himself away, and LDLC will pick themselves up their second dragon of the game.
So, I think taking stock, Endz now really fed, got another kill off the back of that one. He's pretty comfortable, but the LeBlanc is going to be a problem. We'll see the replay. The CC's unfortunately not layered there because, you know, doesn't have time to get the hook in before Exakick uses the ult. A great root comes out there to buy more time. And then the charm comes in, and honestly, I think the stopwatch maybe a little bit early from DOS because he had his W available. Could have stopwatched after. That's actually a pretty powerful mechanic to abuse. In the end, though, he goes down. Exakick has used everything to get to the tower and isn't able to survive further. So, you know, a favorable play for Atleta, but the fact they lose so much in the mid lane, pretty painful because if there's another roam from XoNix here, mid tower's just gone.
Yeah, it's gone, and probably even more so, you know, you lose a lot more pressure around the map, and mid's tier 1 so vital to making sure that you're able to control the rest of the map, especially around those neutrals like Rift Herald and Dragon. Of course, we did see LDLC picking themselves up a Dragon off the back end of that as well. And it's going to be a Hex Rift, so we are going to have a couple of extra avenues and opportunities for players to make themselves, get themselves behind the play.
Hex Rift, best in the game by far. You know, I always love it. Love the fact that you can make those plays with it. And I actually think that there's a lot of opportunities for Atleta in particular by the fact that they have the Sett, right? One of the big issues Sett has is getting in range. Often why we used to see him have, you know, the old Stride Breaker where it gave you a dash, or even Chem Tank when he was in the support role. With the Hex Gate, it allows you to find flank opportunities. And when you look at the composition of LDLC, right, the Xayah and the Renata, this bot lane, are so good at dealing with threats from one direction specifically, right? You fire your ultimates that way, the feathers on the ground, the hostile takeover, super powerful. If you have a Sett coming from the flank, there's limited amount of things you can do up against that.
This is the unfortunate time now for Exakick in that bot side, is that the Draven's gotten 2 kills, gotten 2 stacks up, as we see now a little bit of engage here in the mid lane. That's going to be a flash after the Spirit Rush. Yike was thinking about going in with the Cataclysm, but thinks the better of it after that, and then ends up pushing in the wave so they can have free roams down towards this bot side. And honestly, I think if you're on the side of Atleta, you gotta respect this. I agree with this call. Back up. You do not control your own jungle.
Yeah, and LDLC can get some vision down. They can then lean back in towards mid. That tower is so low, they'll just be able to pick it up, get the first tower for the LeBlanc, and then open up the map up pretty significantly, I think is a big thing, right? You know, the gold is going to be the same if you get mid or top tier 1, but it's the map control that is offered from it.
Oh, I like that from the side of MxDragon. He waited to try and buffer the CC, but it was just a little bit too difficult to lock down that Ornn. We are past the 14-minute mark, which means teleports are unleashed, and they're going back towards this bot side. LDLC.
No, dude.
Oh, Endz. He's going to meet his Endz in a minute.
100%. Yeah, is that enough, people?
I don't know. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4. We declare war onto you. He's a Draven. He's got damage, but only so much. Exakick picks up that one. And honestly, that's just a really, really greedy path there from the side of Endz.
It's just criminal. I mean, there's 2 aspects to it, right? One, your jungler's top side making the play there for the second Herald. You know you're playing the weak side at the moment. You should be stepping up. And on top of that, you saw them go for vision, right? You even respected that when I'm going to back off a bit. And then you're like, but then...
but it's different 10 seconds later.
Yeah. If anything, got worse, so...
Yeah, I don't know, right? But look, it's a mistake. It happens. And this is the small little things that can bite you a little bit in the butt in terms of the EU Masters. You can't let this happen, as we got double, Troil and Trouble. I love this patch. This patch is crazy. We've never had these level of spectator bugs. It's awesome.
I mean, if anyone who's wondering what to talk about, LDLC don't have Dragon Soul already.
Or two of 2 different dragons.
Yeah.
That's also impossible.
Yeah.
It happens. We'll move on.
They managed, but okay, I feel like we can kind of take the state of the game. So LDLC have 2 dragons. Third one is coming up, right? And in this situation, they're trying to get control of the dragon area. Atleta, we said we wanted to see them have that early momentum. We said we want to see this Draven get ahead. I feel like LDLC, the later this game goes, the more comfortable they are. So I want Atleta to find an angle to approach to contest this. And they're looking now.
That's a great hook there. Could be landing on top of the Renata. There's the hostile takeover. Remember, if there's nobody around, it's just a big old CC stun. They're going to be able to take down the Renata straight away. There's Gabbo coming in with the flash. Going to get the Heartbreaker, the Haymaker, and get himself right back in on top of this. That's 2 quick kills going over to Atleta, and they have the Rift Herald. This could be significant gold.
Yeah, I love to see that as well. They use their engaged potential. They use the pick potential. Instantly dive for it. Gabbo commits with the TP to find the flank. They take down the tier 1. They should be able to move over and get the Dragon as well. Looks like they're actually going to go for a reset. This does mean LDLC will be up in time to contest, especially as they do have the Hex Gates.
Yeah, they have the Hex Gates. You do not really have the time to get your support back on the map, but a TP for XoNix should be available if they so choose to use it. There is still a good ward here for the side of LDLC just beyond the Dragon Pit, but we're going to have a full reset, which means we're going to have another full 5v5.
Atleta can't fight this, I feel. Like, look at your ult, right? You don't have anyone's ult across the board. If you fight this, you lose.
They're going for it. They're going for it. We're going to see them maybe even not have to look for the fight. Maybe just go try and run away. There's the flash in. The Cataclysm has been used. They're going to need the TP coming off the back of this as well. But look, Yike is all by himself, and he's alone. Cospect picks up that one, and that's going to be a massive mistake for LDLC. They are still very healthy with the members they have, and the more time that they waste, the more ultimates come back for Atleta.
Yeah, that's the thing. Atleta have time on the side. Spirit Rush about to come up and available. That's such a massive tool for the Ahri. LDLC trying to find time for the jungler, but if Atleta find another pick, it's just going to be easy for them to take the Dragon. You see them starting to regain the confidence. Tools becoming available. They're moving up.
Here we go. We're going to try and go for it. It does look like LDLC maybe just try and go for an Ornn Miracle Steal, but no, they're going to go for the flash in. It is secured by the side of Atleta. Now the fight can really begin. It's a 5v4 as we got Ragner in the middle of absolutely everything. The man just will not die. That's going to be a whirling death right between the sticks, but he comes back and gets a little bit of damage off the back end of it. Now we're going to see another showstopper to start this all back, but another flash with the flames coming back in. They're going to have another hostile takeover, and nowhere for you to run now. Double kill going over to Exakick as LDLC. They took their time. It was not clean, but they got the kills they wanted.
And they got to overstep, right? They started to feel confident. They started to move in and go aggressive. And the critical thing, they already got the Dragon. They didn't need to fight. Allowed LDLC to come back in. And now they're going to try and pick up these clean up kills.
Oh, they're going to wait for the minion wave to come in. They need to try and stop this. But look, it's 4v2 and a TP is going to be 5v2. They're going to go in and try it now. There's the Frost coming out. It's delaying a lot of this, but you have no more avenues out. That's 2 more kills going over to LDLC, and I feel like this game has been cracked open.
Yeah, it's starting to look pretty difficult. Look at the gold lead now for LDLC. 4,500. You can look at where the gold is as well. Eika 30 CS up on his counterpart. He got all those plates earlier as well. Exakick picking up all those kills. Now, despite the fact that Endz got those cash-ins, he's down 600 gold in the matchup. But look, mid, 2.3k between those mid laners. It's a lot.
It's rough. It is rough right now for the mid laner of Atleta, and that's going to mean that this LeBlanc just gets opened up a bit more. The mid lane tower was taken so early. We talked about how pivotal that is to just moving around the map, opening up those avenues and those lanes, to just making those more, you know, kind of odd numbered skirmishes plays.
Yeah, and so we can see the replay. Atleta do an okay job of backing away, but then they chain on the Ragner. And the problem is, look how long they're pumping into him, and then he gets the W from the Renata. They eventually kill him, but he just gets the reset off the back of this, and then they try and go further for this, they try and go deeper, but this is what LDLC's composition does so well. The kite back, right? The hostile takeover, the feathers as well. So effective in this manner just to turn things around. And then I love the slow play as well from LDLC. Not only do they get those kills, but they know there's no Baron on the map, nothing else for them to go for. They're happy to pick up both these kills and the tower. And they play it slow. I completely respect the fact that they take this as slow as they need to ensure, and then they get nothing in return.
Yeah, they just end up having to just trying to delay as much as they possibly can. I will say the smallest of silver linings for Atleta is that, yes, there was a lot thrown at you. A lot thrown at you, but it's still not a good look for you right now. Yes, you got the Dragon, you do stop the stacking for a moment, but as we said right at the start of the game, at the start of draft, this is a good scaling competition for LDLC. They are happy with waiting for this game to go to 25, 28, 30 minutes, because they are going to have the advantage.
I think a lot of picks on the side of Atleta, like the Draven in particular, but the Ahri as well, a lot of their impact is defined by how much they snowball, and Atleta are in a bit of a rough spot here, but they still have pick potential, right? So I'm hoping they start to play around that again. Right now, LDLC trying to get control of the top side of the map. Oh, that's a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage. That's a Shadow Flame and a nearly fully stacked Medjai is coming in there for LeBlanc. So Yike just going to be doing...
quite, it's 9 stacks.
9 stacks. Sorry, you're right, you're right. I'm a couple of multiples down. You're absolutely right. I meant to say fully upgraded, but...
Which, you know, that's the sad. Now he has space to get more AP, right? That's with 9 stacks.
Continue to grow.
Exactly.
He hasn't peaked. Well, we'll see if he's able to get that book fully stacked up. I will say, it's not even the book, it's the eye. The book itself is just an amplifying tone.
Yeah, I think you've said that to me before.
I have. I said it to you on LPL, because it's funny. Everyone's like, put a page in the book. It's like, no, it's putting more eyes into the book. It doesn't quite work as well.
Is it put more eyes in the?
No, it's putting souls in the eye.
Eyelashes.
Yeah,
in the
more
eye?
eyelashes on the eye. You know what? Let's go with that. But yeah, it's just. We'll see how they're able to kind of go for it, and maybe they can make something work here. But it looks like Atleta are going to try and make this one work. But again, great hostile takeover. Forces everyone back in. There's going to be a great little engage, though, on top of the Renata. They get the showstopper in as well. They're trying to see if they can get Gabbo to survive this. He will just about do it. They can't quite get this team fight going for LDLC, and it's Atleta who are running around with it. They were too separated.
Yeah, it just felt like Atleta threw everything in the kitchen sink at the bot lane. And despite the fact they praised the disengage tools available, LDLC aren't able to get out of that one. The Ahri chase is there. Atleta, despite being down, still finding the confidence now. They're looking towards this Baron. We see Gabbo has reset to TP back in. Yike is up though, heading over. Remember, with Flag and Drag, he can get over the wall.
Here we go. TP coming in as well. That's going to be Yike on the backside of this one. Baron down 3,000 HP. You've got Yike trying to get on top of this. There's the Cataclysm coming in. They're going to try and kill him off. But you've jumped out of the pit now. How do you get back in? You've got Glasc going. You've got to get back into this immediately. The Baron acting like a six-man before I don't know who. It's so scrappy. It's so messy. But it is Atleta getting the Baron at the end of it. Now, we reset the fight. Flash in, trying to take out Yike. He will fall into the hands of the Volibear. Now you need to run as fast as you possibly can. It doesn't matter that Ornn is your brother on Volibear. You need to leave.
That was hilarious. The whole passage of play, man. Atleta, the confidence to go for that, right? And I love the execution as well. They go over the wall. MxDragon just decides, I'm going to kill the Jarvan myself. Gets Blastcone back over, and then the Baron actually took so long to go down, but they do secure it. And I just love the confidence to go for that engage in mid, the confidence to go for the Baron. I think LDLC kind of got a bit complacent. They were like, yeah, there's no way they're going to engage on us, but I love the replay. So the Hex Flash comes in to go for the CC on a Yike, and then critically MxDragon just decides, I'm going to follow.
Guys, Baron's at 2k. I got this. Give me a second.
Yeah, I mean,
stall it.
No one's doing damage to it. Everyone's got good restraint. They're trying to focus down Eika, and then eventually when things are going to get a bit more manic, they do focus it down and secure it. But I got really scared for Atleta here when I got to this point, but MxDragon just doing so much work throughout this fight.
And I mean, MxDragon, yes, he gets the Baron, and Atleta get themselves that buff, but sadly for them, it doesn't really equal onto a lot because they only got it out of 2 members out of that. They lost 3 people at that fight, so there wasn't actually a lot of Baron buff to go around. Coming out of the replay, though, we did see the Dragon going over to LDLC. They are on 3 dragons, not 4.
Yeah, so they have a Cloud, an Infernal, and a Hex Dragon. They don't have 4, just to be clear, so they would need 1 more. They're on Soul Point. And the thing is, you know, the gold is a massive factor. As much as I said that LDLC, I favor their comp as it goes later, we can see that Atleta are able to find these opportunities, these windows in, and they picked up a ton of gold at the back of that. They're still 3,000 down, but 3,000 down this late is a lot less impactful as the gold deficit we saw earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a quick look at some of the items that are being picked up. You've got 3 items now onto Exakick Xayah. So, as you can see by the minion wave, doing an absolutely boatload of damage. And funny enough, actually, Gabbo going with the Hull Breaker. The reason why I say funny enough is that, yes, I have no problem with the pick itself, but we have seen him be more of a teamfight initiator rather than a split foot push threat.
Hey, this is why you take Hull Breaker. You initiate so far away from your team that it
you still get the benefits.
Yeah,
I like it.
I think it allows you to apply pressure, and we saw in the laning phase he was looking to do so. It was definitely something that allowed you to pick up more plates when you get the window. It didn't really come to fruition too much, but, you know, it still gives you a decent amount of stacks. At the end of the day, has AD, has health, does Sett really need anything else?
We'll find out. A W would be nice, I'm sure, for Atleta, if they could.
I mean, I just want to say, right, for context, this is the first seed from the LFL. This is a former, as an org, a former EUM champion team with one of the players who won with them up against the PG Nats representative. And as much as we've seen some solid performances from the PG Nats, this is absolutely LDLC favored when we look at the 2 rosters, the 2 teams, and Atleta are putting up a damn good fight.
And this is what we talked about as well. We wanted to see LDLC. I'm sure all the LFL fans wanted to see LDLC come in and smack down. They wanted to show defiance and say, look, this isn't even a close game, but it's relatively close. Yes, the gold lead is very much in LDL's favor, and you do have the Dragons on their side, but gold lead and that kind of stuff later on in the game don't make that much of a difference, although how you execute on your play. And right now, Atleta, they're going to try and go for something I did see a little bit. Was that Spirit Rush used? I'm not quite sure there from the Ahri. I don't think it was, but the TV has been used now. We're going to see a Cataclysm come down. The Cospect has been caught out on the rotation, and they're going to gift that one over to Ike's LeBlanc. And these are small little things that start to eke up on top of you. As I say that, another catch, and they catch out Ike. Massive mistake. Huge from the mid laner.
And you'll take that trade, right? Oh, still looking for more.
They're going for it. They're going to get the... Ooh, a lot of feathers coming back. That puts a lot of damage down. Gabbo not feeling so great, but this is weirdly disconnected from LDLC. They seem to be a bit lackadaisical. They're not thinking about these things.
Yeah, I mean, they get the pick on Cospect, and I'm like, cool, okay, they did a good job, right? They got control of the bot side jungle, they went for that bot tier 2, but then we get this big overstep from Yike, and Atleta just snappy to respond on it. And something else to bear in mind, this is a Medjai's LeBlanc, so, you know, you're trading up because you get more gold for the LeBlanc. I'm pretty sure she had a bounty before she went down, but also losing the Medjai stacks as well, and we get a pick come in here, not much Cospect can really do, a bit out of position there. You have to respect that from how LDLC had set up, this jungle isn't yours, but then Yike just face checks. And that's the thing, you're on the LeBlanc, you don't expect to be caught out, but there's so much single target CC afforded to this Atleta composition. Not really much counterplay once that charm connects.
Yeah, and that's the big power of the Ahri. It's why we see such a high priority on it, is that all it can take is that one charm to then blow up a key carry on the other team. So you have a lot of options available to you should you be able to land it. 5-1-6 for MxDragon right now on the Volibear, having a fantastic game in his own right. But still, good advantage here for LDLC. They're still about 4,000 gold ahead, and they're setting up for this Dragon Soul. Don't be fooled by the overlay. They are still one away from a Hex Soul.
Yeah, so if LDLC get this, they get a Soul, massive power spike as if they already needed that when they are starting to pick up ornaments as well. Atleta are going to look to contest, and I want to see them get creative with this, right? I think when you run straight at LDLC, that's where their tools really start to flourish. Things like the Ornn when you group, things like the feathers from the Xayah, the hostile takeover from the Renata. If you can find angles of approach where XoNix or Gabbo are on flanks, that's where you can be super threatening. So fishing for those opportunities. I think what's big is they've already got control of the area, right? They've pushed LDLC away, which makes it means LDLC have to push in, and that's where you can set up for those flanks.
I will say though, LDLC, they have got their side waves in order, both top and bot being pushed in by the minions and naturally putting a bit of pressure down. Now we see a bit of a stun coming out of MxDragon. He doesn't pull any triggers on his flasher results just yet. Here we go, another little bit of Spider-Man action there from Cospect. And it's again, small little moments, little bits of CC that if the next bit lands, you are in big, big trouble.
Yeah, and the thing is, Ragner can just stand up, and he's so much tankier. Look, every time Cospect walks up, he takes so much damage in return.
No, they're going to go for it, but there's a showstopper, and that's going to force out an early Feathers. They're going to try and get the charm down. The Ornn hits on the 3, and they're going to be free hitting now as the Sett and the Nautilus have fallen. Yike goes into stasis just after getting the knock-up, and that's going to be good enough for him and his team. They pick up 4, they lose none whatsoever, and they're going to push in and maybe try and end the game.
Yeah, they have a big wave top, and that's the thing, as you said before, they set up the waves beforehand, they did the homework. Oh, they just found a kill. Yike just walks into the damage. Still enough members to put pressure down here, but XoNix is doing as much as he can to try and turn this one around.
It's mana right now, but he can't really leave this turret to regen it on the fountain. He knows he's just going to be in a lot of trouble. We will get the knock up here from Ragner as they try and go in, and they absolutely delete him off the face of Summoner's Rift. That's going to be LDLC picking themselves up their first win of the Amazon EU Masters main stage group. So they say that. Still a little bit of damage to be done here onto the Nexus. It should be no one else in their way. A valiant effort from Atleta, but it was all for naught as the LFL go 3-0 on the day, and a perfect start for LDLC.
Yeah, I mean, LDLC getting the win, it's what we expected. LFL 3-0, I don't think anyone's too surprised, but Atleta made them fight for it, made them work for it, and I think there were just a couple of mistakes, and also the composition scaling for me was favored towards LDLC, and in that final fight, they didn't find those flank approaches. If you go head on, if you go front to back, you're not going to win.
No, you're really not. I also love the little rave at the end there. Just like, uns. But again, great game, I think, for LDLC. And we'll see, you know, what else they can do in the tournament. We are going to throw it, though, to a quick break. And when we return, we'll break down that game just a little bit more.